Good afternoon. Today we'll be looking at the concept of culture. What is culture and what are two important parts of culture, material culture and immaterial culture? Let's start off with some feedback from you. What are three things you will tell a visitor from Iceland about your country and why? And I have created a quiz that you can enter on and state the three things that you will tell this person from Iceland about your country and why. And when you post it on the My Learning page, we will review it and make comments about it in our next class. What are the learning objectives of today's class? We want to have an understanding of the concept of culture, and we want to be able to differentiate between material culture and immaterial culture. But before we get into the meat of the concept of culture, let us get some engagement from yourself in terms of what you understand by culture as relates to you and your community. So what I want you to do for between today's class and next week's class is to create and post on the My Learning page a 2-minute video on two cultural aspects of your community. Two things that are part of your community that you believe is cultural, and explain why you have chosen these. And when you post them on the My Learning page, each student will be invited to comment on your video and also compare it to their own video. And we look forward to engaging in these videos as well as the comments to better understand that concept of culture. When we talk about culture, we are talking about a way of life. It comprises of values, beliefs, and norms. Culture gives you that sense of belonging, that sense of identity. And you really appreciate your culture when you are removed from your cultural space, safe space, and placed in another cultural space. And then you realize the smallest of things you may be not accustomed to, or you do it differently. For instance, what you eat for breakfast, how you dress, the way you walk, how you speak, what you consider as leisure activities as compared to what is not leisure activities. And there's a host of different things that you quickly realize that you are different from others. Although you may be doing things similarly, the way it is done or the meanings are different. Yet still there are other things that are shared across the board, what we call cultural universals. So culture is broken up into two major parts, material culture and immaterial culture. The material culture are those things that you can see, taste, and touch that gives you that sense of identity. So your food, your clothing, your architecture, your musical instruments. And if we go back to that first slide, you would have seen an architecture to Temple in the Sea. You would have seen food, the Turkish kebab. And so these are things that you can identify as material culture that you can relate to, you can identify. The flag, whether it's a religious flag, whether it's a club flag, a school flag, or your national flag, those are things that gives you a sense of identity and belonging. On the other hand, when we speak about immaterial culture, we are talking about aspects of our lives that we cannot see, taste, and touch, but yet still is very important towards identity formation, such as our values, our beliefs, mores, superstitions, and folklores, our values in honesty, respect, productivity, our beliefs, what we hold strongly to. For instance, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, Our mores, what we consider taboo, things we should not do. Superstitions, for instance, when you reach home late at night, there are sayings that you should walk in backwards. You should not sweep over someone's feet because they may not marry or they may have problems later on in lives. And then folklores. And we here in the Caribbean have a rich history of folklores which is tied to our African heritage, such as the Duen and the Papaboa and the La Jables, etc. So when you hear these conversations, we are talking about folklores, and in the Caribbean, they vary from country to country. So these are some examples of what we have been talking about. When you look at the first image to your left, that's the Colosseum. And when we talk about the Colosseum, it takes us back to Greek and as well as our ancient history. This is found in Italy. When we talk about food, the Turkish kebab. When we talk about musical instruments, something we can taste, touch. You have the sitar as a musical instrument that you can touch, the food you can taste. And when we watch the photo with the headwear is not just a headwear, it's a gele, which is tied to the Yoruba ethnic group, which is found in Nigeria. So you identify these aspects of our material culture. So now, having had an idea of what culture is and what material culture is, and looked at some of the global examples of culture, what I want you to do is to create a 5-minute video and post on the course page of 2 examples of material and immaterial culture from your society. It can be from your community, it can be about different aspects of your way of life. Think about the way of life, what it is that you do, whether it's religion, whether it's the places you worship, the foods you eat, the games you play, and tell us about it. What do they mean to you? And compare these with other cultures. Compare it maybe with your colleagues in other Caribbean countries or in other parts of the world. And by doing this, you would be able to appreciate what these things mean to you and also differentiate in terms of what it may mean to others. So this is a video videos that we'll be looking forward to reviewing, and also the comments that will be related to them. In the discussion forum, I want you to explain with the use of actual examples how material culture and immaterial culture influence each other. So let me give you an example. You are driving along the road and you come across a religious building, a church, a temple, a mosque, a synagogue, and upon nearing the institution, let's say it's a Sunday morning, and you are hearing the sermon out of the church or the temple or the mosque, as the case may be, and you decide to lower your volume in your vehicle or slow down while you are driving, what you are demonstrating is respect. You are demonstrating respect for the institution. So the material culture, you understand what this building is about, this institution, it's a religious institution, and their behavior is shaped by the institution and vice versa. So that is an example that you can draw upon, but I don't want you using it in your discussion of how material culture can influence immaterial culture. Another example you can think about, which I'm not going to go into, is music and musical instrument and dance. Right? So you can look at those as well. And you can also look at folklores and superstitions and tie it back to our history. Some of our beliefs, you can tie it to religion. So I want you to think about these, create these videos. You can interview people, you can do a solo video, or you can interview persons and get their thoughts as well. We wanted to be creative so that we can have different aspects and an understanding of culture. And also, I wanted to be, I want another aspect of assignment where I want you to do a reflective piece where you would write about immaterial and material culture in your own personal life. And what does that mean to you? And you also post this on my learning discussion forum. So in summary, we can say that culture is a way of life that includes values, norms, beliefs, and objects. We practice culture on a daily basis. For further readings, you can look at the Mustafa 2018 Sociology for Caribbean Students, which is published by Ian Randall. Thank you very much, and I look forward to listening to your videos and also reading the comments on this interesting topic of culture. Do have a good afternoon.